What is going on, guys? The Inside the Blue Podcast, and Merry Christmas to you all. We got some tier lists. We got our final tier list. We're going to have a playoff prediction of who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. All those. We did it last year. You guys really liked it. We're going to do it again. But yeah, Merry Christmas to you all. Big week for games. A lot of teams fighting to try and stay in the playoffs, like the Cincinnati Bengals. And some teams that are trying to get in the playoffs, which are the Bengals. That's pretty much the main team that I see when it comes down to it, because I think they're such a good team, but that defense is holding them back so much. But we got the Arizona Cardinals to start off, and unfortunately, fellas, the Arizona Cardinals are eliminated. Some of these are just easy because one of the categories is eliminated. Of course, we got Super Bowl favorites, elite playoff teams in the hunt, eliminated, and number one pick contention. And yeah, I mean, let's start with the Arizona Cardinals, right? I would say they're probably around expectations of what I thought they were going to be. Probably like a 7-8 win team this year with Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like a fun prospect that they drafted this year in the class. I think Trey McBride is good. I think they have pieces to this team, right? James Conner's fun. Trey McBride still doesn't have a touchdown this year. I drafted him in fantasy football, so that stinks. But overall, he's still been good, and this defense just needs to continue to get better. And I think they can be a playoff team maybe next year. But this year, I don't really see them being able to sneak into the playoffs. Getting into our next team, one of the odd playoff teams right now. Right now, they are in the playoffs. Bucks are right on their tail trying to get into the playoffs as well. Falcons have the tiebreaker. But here's the thing. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be Kirk Cousins starting a playoff game? Or are they going to give it to the rookie, Michael Penix Jr.? It's a tough decision if you are Atlanta. I don't think you can really base his first start off when he was playing against the New York Giants. The New York Giants shows nothing at all. I know they killed the Giants. What was it, 34-7, something like that. The Falcons need to continue to win football games, and they need to not let the Bucs get into the playoffs, because the Bucs lost a tough game, 26-24 against the Dallas Cowboys, who are eliminated from the playoffs. But that's the thing. Like, some of these football teams who are eliminated, they're trying to beat teams that are still trying to make the playoffs, and that's what the Dallas Cowboys did in Jerry's world. But with this Falcons team, right, the big question is who's going to be their quarterback if they do end up making the playoffs. Is it going to be Michael Penix Jr., or is it going to be the veteran Kirk Cousins, who's been constantly turning the football over and might get released? This guy might get released and sign a veteran minimum deal with some other team. That contract doesn't look good at all. So I think if you are the Falcons, I'd say start Kirk in a playoff game and see how it goes. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough decision. Let me know in the comments below of who you think should start a playoff game if the Falcons end up getting in, Michael Penix Jr. or Kirk Cousins. But let's get into one of the Super Bowl favorites, one of the teams that I really like this year. That is the Baltimore Ravens. I know they lost week one off a toe-tipping touchdown that Isaiah likely couldn't keep in bounds. But after that, Lamar Jackson looks like another case to win the MVP. He's looked phenomenal. Rushing upside, of course, is super good. Fantasy quarterback, whatever. He's awesome in all those categories. And the Ravens look like that team again. They're in that stage of the cycle that NFL fans are like, hey, the Ravens look like an elite team to bounce into the Super Bowl for the first time in a while, defeat the Kansas City Chiefs. They are one of those teams that I do have on my board that has the ability to defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. NFC, there's a bunch of teams that when we get into the NFC teams, I could give of who I think could beat the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson's had a good year. In terms of fixes, keep adding to that wide receiver core with Zay Flowers. They just released Deontay Johnson, who ended up getting picked up by the Texans. So a lot still to be happy about. Derrick Henry, who we haven't even talked about yet, looks phenomenal. Him and Saquon are going at it at this rushing record. I think Saquon has a better chance of breaking it. I think he's been better than Henry, but don't discredit Henry. This guy is a beast when he gets the football. Granted, Lamar Jackson has good legs as well, which makes that backfield even more deadly. But overall, I've been happy with the Baltimore Ravens this year. I think they're one of those teams, again, like I said, that are on that cusp, that have the ability to beat the Chiefs and end this dynasty that the Chiefs are trying to continue. But getting into our next team, that's the Buffalo Bills, and another pretty easy selection. They are in my Super Bowl favorites. Now, I know I could have maybe made it a category of Super Bowl contenders, but overall, I think that elite playoff team is kind of a Super Bowl contender in my opinion, but that's not for the Buffalo Bills. I just wanted to take that out there for anyone questioning. The Buffalo Bills, once again, Josh Allen having that MVP-type season, not turning the ball over nearly as much as last year. This offense looks fun, and the biggest thing I take away for this Buffalo Bills team is they're dynamic. Not only are they a great defensive team, but Josh Allen has Khalil Shakir to dish off the ball to, James Cook in the backfield. Keon Coleman, this rookie, looks cool. Dalton Kincaid is a very, very good tight end. So that's what I think that makes this Buffalo Bills team so good. And if you're a defense that is going to go against this team in the playoffs, you got to worry about everybody. It's not like they have that wide receiver one. Oh, and might I add, they added Amari Cooper. My bad. So that's their wide receiver one, in my opinion, Amari Cooper. So you got to worry about Coop. You got to worry about Cook. You got to worry about Kincaid. So much offensive power on this football team. And Josh Allen, not only can he sling the ball 60 yards, but this guy can rush. This guy is a dual threat. He can run the football. He can pass the football. Do I think they're better than the Ravens if they played today? I would probably take the Buffalo Bills over the Baltimore Ravens for a Super Bowl favorite. I'd take them over the Chiefs as well. But hey, this Buffalo Bills team, man, you got to be proud of what they're doing. They went from losing Stephon Diggs to hey, are they even going to win the division, to an absolute beast of a team. Sean McDermott deserves probably some Coach of the Year votes. I don't think he'll overall get it. I think it goes to Dan Campbell or Kevin O'Connell from the Minnesota Vikings. Another team that is eliminated is the Carolina Panthers. Here's the thing I have with the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young is your franchise quarterback. From trade inquires from maybe teams that wanted to trade for a young guy like Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers have their quarterback, and that's Bryce Young. I fully believe that. I think with Bryce Young, you look at a team that still needs more talent, and that's why they're the record they are. And I think with some of these games, they've kept the game against the Philadelphia Eagles close, the Kansas City Chiefs close. That shows me that there's potential in Carolina. And they need a wide receiver one, a true wide receiver one. That running back room, Chuba Hubbard's their guy. Their defense has some pieces, but I think they just need to acquire more talent in this upcoming draft. They'll have a pretty good pick with their record, and I don't expect them to win many games left of the year, and there's only 2 weeks left, Week 17 and Week 18. And they're eliminated for playoffs. So the only thing they can really do is spoil it for some teams that are trying to get into the playoffs. But like I said, I like what they're doing. I think Bryce Young is really taking a next step to his development. He looks good. And yeah, unfortunately they're eliminated. But another team that is eliminated, that is not going to make the playoffs, that is the Chicago Bears. And I think Chicago, man, I feel bad for you. Matt Eberflus costs you a lot of games. Now you have to go on a head coaching search. Is Ben Johnson the type of guy? Are they going to go for maybe Cliff Kingsbury from Washington, who previously worked with Caleb at USC. So I think for Caleb, needs a head coach that he can develop with. Matt Eberflus was never that guy. They need an offensive-minded head coach. They have pieces. Keenan Allen's cool. DJ Moore is good. And Rome Odunze, their young stud draft pick out of Washington, he's been good overall. I think he's been good. I think he's shown some flashes. Their running back room is fine. The defense is good. They have some pieces. Like, this is a team that has pieces. They need to find the right head coach. That's the bottom line. I don't know if I regret drafting Caleb and not keeping Fields. I think it still was the right move. I think that's what the business kind of had to do. And I think they'll be fine in the future. But a team that I want to talk about a lot, that is the Cincinnati Bengals, who are still in the hunt. And if there is something that I do feel bad about for this football team, I feel bad for Joe Burrow. I feel bad for T. And I feel bad for Jamar Chase. Because these three guys, man, and Chase Brown, he's had a good year too. And this defense. Well, actually, no. This defense has actually been the reason why they're only in the hunt. And they're not all the way, like, up here. Or even here. If the Bengals had some guys who can actually defend, this is easily a 10-plus win team. They can only finish with 9 wins if they win out. They got the Broncos this week. I think they can win, and I think they can win out. But here's the thing. They only have like a 20% chance of making the playoffs. They need a perfect scenario to make the playoffs. Joe Burrow's had a good year. You can't even blame it on Joe. Jamar Chase looks like the best wide receiver in football outside of Justin Jefferson. I think they're 1-1, 1A, 1B. You could interchange them. I think I'd accept if you had Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase or Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson. Both guys are balling out every week for each team. But with the Bengals now, they just need to go full defense in this draft. Don't need to draft a wide receiver. T. Higgins might be on his way out. Their offensive line needs work. So maybe they draft an offensive lineman. But this isn't a bad football team. I think in a perfect world, they would be an elite playoff team. But as of now, they're not. But getting into our team that is eliminated, but also just number one pick contention. I know they're probably not going to win it. I think it's going to be probably the Giants, to be honest, or the Raiders. I know they won, so they did move back. But like I said, the Browns are one of those football teams, like, our season's done, and we need to be better. The Browns are a dysfunctional franchise right now, and they need help, man. They need a new quarterback, and I don't know if they're going to get Shedeur or Cam Ward. Do they take a shot at Jalen Milroe? Do they go offensive line? Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks Jr., is that his name? I think that's the other offensive tackle. So I think if you're the Browns, you have a lot of work to do. And contending is not in your eyes right now. It's rebuilding this football team. Getting rid of Deshaun Watson. Fixing the wide receiver core. You notoriously have a pretty decent offensive line. The defense needs work. I mean, there's a lot of issues in Cleveland that just need help. And if there's another team that is unfortunately eliminated, I am a Giants fan, but happy they're eliminated. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott got hurt, hamstring injury. 4-1 in their last 5 with Cooper Rush. Just beat the Bucs in a good game, 26-24. I mean, if they're perfectly healthy, they'd probably still be maybe contending for a playoff spot. I mean, the thing of the matter is, with the NFC East team, Washington took a big step. And we'll get into them after we review a lot of these other teams. But Really solid stuff out of Dallas this year. At the end of the year, at the start, it was a disaster. At the start, it was a disaster. But now they're starting to play better. But it's too little, too late. Here's a playoff team that I don't think is going to go far. That's the Denver Broncos. And I'll say it how it is. Bo Nix has had a great rookie year. But overall, I can't trust his offense deep down. And I think they got a good defense. I think it's more of an opposite of of the Bengals, right? Good defense, okay offense. Bengals is elite offense, bad defense. So that's why the Broncos are as a playoff team. Getting into another Super Bowl favorite. I know these guys got 16 guys in IR. And they're hurt. They're banged up. But if there's something that I know about Dan Campbell and this team, is no matter who they throw out there, they'll have grit. They'll have toughness. They'll never really play down to their opponent. They're going to kick you in your teeth, bite your kneecaps, all that. Ben Johnson, this guy, with some of the play calls that he calls, is nuts. He had a fake fumble play design that he actually wanted Jared Goff to fumble the football, but Jared's like, no, there's no way I could do that. The guy in the backfield, it may have been Gibbs, he falls over, and then Sam Laporta's wide open in the end zone. He's a mastermind for the offense. Maybe he gets a head coaching job. Maybe the Bears pick him up. Maybe I don't know. Maybe. Whoever needs an offensive-minded coach, you know that Ben Johnson's going to be there. The Green Bay Packers. I've been really circling if they're that Super Bowl favorite type team or they're just an elite playoff team. It's so tough. It's so incredibly tough for me. But I look at the three teams above them, and I look at it are they better than those three? Are they better than Detroit? I don't know. Are they better than Minnesota? I don't know. So I'm going to put them at elite playoff teams for now. Maybe later in this video, I'm like, hey, I'll change it up. But getting into our next team, another just playoff team. CJ Stroud's slump needs to be better for going into the playoffs and next year. Slump, unfortunate, not good. Colts, eliminated, done for the year. They're not making playoffs. Anthony Richardson is a project. They need a lot of help there. Jonathan Taylor's really good, but this team still needs a lot of pieces to even try to contend in the AFC. The Jaguars are a really bad football team. And I know they have the opportunity to keep losing. But, I mean, this is just a crap show in Jacksonville. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're going to fire Doug Peterson. That's probably the smart move. But not really much else to really talk about the Jags. Just a bad football team. Kansas City Chiefs. If there's something I'll never do, it's bet against Patrick Mahomes. It is always, as long as Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback, Andy Reid's their head coach, Steve Spagnuolo is their defensive coordinator, they're going to be a Super Bowl favorite every year. And it pains me to say that because nobody wants this team to three-peat. And hopefully they don't win this year, and then we're talking about a potential four-peat. I know the refs really give maybe them the benefit in some of these games. You can't discredit their talent, though. I know there are a lot of calls like, "Hey, Vin, no way you're saying that's bias." And there are a lot of times that I could see them being a what's the right word? Bailed out. I'd say they're sometimes bailed out. But yeah. Getting into our next team, Chargers, playoff team. Gotta love what you're seeing out of this Chargers team, though. A lot of improvements. Justin Herbert looks elite again. Really solid win over the Broncos last week, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for this upcoming playoff run. I mean, it's gonna be really fun to watch them. The Rams are also gonna go in a playoff team. I was considering putting them in elite because they are cooking right now, but we're gonna put them as a playoff team. They got some really good offensive weapons: Stafford, Kyron Williams, Puka, Cooper Kupp when healthy. But that defense has me a bit concerned. So we're gonna keep them as a playoff team. Trying to run through some of these teams. Raiders, pretty self-explanatory. They want Shedeur so bad. Number 1 pick contention. Miami is a team that is still in the hunt currently, but they're probably going to be eliminated soon. And if they even somehow squeak into the playoffs, they are an easy first-round exit. A team that is probably not so first-round exit, Minnesota Vikings, man. This is a damn good football team. And I'm putting them as an elite playoff team. It's because I don't know what I'm getting out of Sam Darnold in the playoffs. And I think that's fair to say. I mean, Sam Darnold has not, started a playoff game. Sure. On paper, they may be one of the favorites coming out of the NFC. But I'd still take the Lions over them. Green Bay, that's a toss-up. This week's going to tell me a lot. Philadelphia, I'd probably still take over them. But that's it, really. I think there's only a few teams ahead of them. And realistically, it seems to me that there's only a few teams. Like, there's more AFC teams that could potentially win the Super Bowl with how this is laid out right now than NFC. But the Patriots, number 1 pick contention. I know they're eliminated, and I know they're not probably going to win the number 1 overall draft pick, but they'll be in the hunt. They'll be in that top 5, top category. Honestly, we should probably just rename it top pick, but we're not. The Saints are eliminated as well. They stink. They just got shut out embarrassingly, and it's very unfortunate to be a Saints fan. You start off 2-0, and then it all goes downhill. Well, the New York Giants, if you're a Giants fan like myself, a lot to look forward to. Are you getting Cam Ward or are you getting Shedeur Sanders? Both are very good quarterbacks. Maybe there's some more concerns with Shedeur than Cam Ward. Ooh, sorry because of Dion. But still, Shedeur is a really good prospect. I think the Giants are liking Cam Ward more from a front office standpoint. But, hey, we've seen some crazy things on draft night. Like the Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr. over Latu or Dallas Turner. Jets eliminated. Disaster season. Aaron Rodgers, not a good year coming off that Achilles injury. And just really unfortunate. Unfortunate for New York. Besides Buffalo, Buffalo is really our only hope. But Philadelphia, very, very split of what I think about Philadelphia. And I don't know. I don't know with Philadelphia right now. I think they're a Super Bowl favorite. I'd like to think that. I do think they're better than Green Bay, and I think they're slightly better than the Vikings. But I'll put 2 teams in the Super Bowl favorite, and if I had to, it would be both of these teams. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley, you got an elite defense, you got a solid offense under Jalen Hurts, Sirianni, all of that. But I mean, another team that I don't really have any high hopes for going into the playoffs, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. That offense, I can't trust. I can't trust down the road. With Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin never wins the big game. Sure, they'll get to the playoffs every year, but they don't do much. Just looking at my list of what other teams I have. So the Seahawks I have in the hunt. Don't think they have really a great shot of even becoming an elite playoff contender. I think they can maybe get to the playoffs, but I don't really see them beating up much of these teams in the NFC. I think if they verse Green Bay, I think Green Bay takes them. If they verse the Vikings, I think the Vikings take care of them. Birds, Lions, whatever. I don't really see a team. Maybe the Rams they could beat. I think they could beat the Falcons too if they ended up facing off. Another team that's eliminated, that is the San Francisco 49ers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and for this 49ers, just a quick recap. A lot of injuries and a lot of bad football. They're taking on the Lions this week. Don't think they're going to win. Bucs are still currently in the hunt. They're not mathematically eliminated. They lost a crucial game to Dallas. So Atlanta could be thanking Dallas a lot for that win. Tennessee is in that number one pick contention. Just a bad football team. That's what the number one pick is. Like the worst of the worst football teams, in my opinion. And the final team to wrap it up. Is it crazy to say that they're an elite playoff team? Here's the thing. Here is the thing about the Washington Commanders, right? I'll keep them here for now. But I might put them in the elite playoff teams after I say this. For the playoff teams I have here, for the NFC, so Falcons, Rams, Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, and the Birds. Right? Are the Washington Commanders better than the Eagles? No. I don't think so. I know that they won. I know they won the game against the Birds without Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts got hurt. And Jalen Hurts did beat them in the first meeting. The Commanders are not better than the Detroit, so it's two teams. They're not better than the Vikings. They're not better than Green Bay. Are they better than the Rams? Sure. But I have the Rams as a playoff team, and I think they're better than the Falcons. So that's my list. Let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, the only things you can't officially argue is these four: the Bengals, Bucks, Dolphins, and Seahawks. They're currently in the hunt, so I can't even put them as a playoff team. And the eliminated and number one pick, I mean, they're just eliminated and number one pick contention. It's really the playoff teams that are currently in and above. I mean, let me know what your thoughts are. I think you could honestly make a real argument that the Eagles are here, but I'm going to keep them here because if Jalen Hurts is healthy, they're going to be a damn good football team and a hard team to beat as well. But anyways, guys, of course, I'm the Inside the Boot podcast. Merry Christmas to you guys all. Happy holidays. And of course, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 300 freaking subs. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this list, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.